Hey everybody, I am so excited. Today we're talking about the scoop. So what is the scoop anyway? Well, go ahead and share with me where you're from, your name, where you're from, where you're hanging out with me today, because today Miss Glory is introducing the scoop. So here's my scoop. And you might wonder, okay, what is the scoop and what's the latest and what exactly is the BBP system? I'm about to share with you. My name's Glory St. Germain from Ultimate Music Theory, and I'm super excited to kind of delve a little deeper into teaching music theory. You know, what are the secrets? How can we help our students really learn? Because ultimately, music isn't really anything without rhythm, right? It's like the number one. I mean, we can just have any kind of a, musical pattern, a melodic line, but if you don't put rhythm to it, then it's not really much of anything. So you got to find that groove, and that's what we're talking about today. So in the comments, yay, hi Kathy, she's hanging out with me today. So glad that you're here. We are going to be talking about the scoop. So kind of let's jump in. So when we're first looking, and you see I've got like a lot of reveal here today. So when we're talking about rhythm, we need to talk about the BBP system. So exclusive to the Ultimate Music Theory program is the scoop. So the scoop is a visual representation of one note, just one. So that's the scoop. So inside the Ultimate Music Theory program, whether you're in the beginner ABC series, whether you're doing the basic rudiments workbook series, intermediate, advanced, whatever level you're doing, you got to get the scoop. And the scoop is a visual representation of one basic beat, one note. That's it. The scoop is one note. We're going to be talking about that today. Oh, Tulani, hello from Zimbabwe. And Miss Patricia, thanks for joining me today. So let's get into the scoop. Today we're going to play a little game, and the game is called Dot or No Dot. Some of you might have heard of the TV show called Deal or No Deal. Well, today we're going to play a little game show called Dot or No Dot. So let's get the scoop. So what is the BBP system? The BBP system is when we take the scoop and we add the basic beat and the pulse, that identifies the rhythm. So let's start the game. Are you ready? All right, let's go. So the first one, I'm going to have the big reveal. So the first one that we see is, we first say, how many scoops do you see? And we see 2 scoops, right? 1, 2. And then we look at the basic beat. So now remember, the scoop tells us that one note is equal to the basic beat. And here we have 1 quarter note plus 1 more quarter note, so that our basic beat is 1 quarter note. So far so good. But we still can't really identify the pulse, or I kind of gave you the secret there. We can't really identify the feeling of the music without the pulse. So now we're going to add the pulse. And the pulse is strong, weak. So now we have 2 scoops, right? So we have 2 basic beats. Each basic beat is a quarter note, and the pulse is strong, weak. So now we want to identify the time signature. So here is the big reveal. Is the time signature, does it have a dot? Well, first of all, dot or no dot. So let's look again at the scoop. Each scoop is equal to 1 basic beat, which is 1 quarter note. So my question for you is this: dot or no dot? Does the basic beat have a dot? Is it a dotted note or no dot? Let's see what your answers are coming through. Hello. I am just coming, and that is enough. Okay, perfect. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so the answer is no dot. And if there is no dot, then we are in simple time. So let's see what our time signature is. And the time signature is 2/4 time. Perfect. So now we want to say, all right, so we have 2 scoops, and each one is 1 quarter note, basic beat, and the pulse is strong, weak. So now let's jump in a little deeper. Let's take a look at the next one. Let me move this little guy over here for a bit. All right, so now we're going to reveal the next one. All right, so the first question always is how many groups? How many scoops? And then we'll talk about dot or no dot. So here we have our next one. All right, so now we can see that we've got how many groups? 1, 2, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 eighth notes. Okay, so now the eighth note is the basic beat. We have 6 eighth notes. Now we want to talk about the pulse. So the pulse is strong, weak, weak, medium, weak, weak. Now before we move any further, we want to look at the compound basic beat. All right, the compound basic beat, because remember, each scoop is equal to 1 note. So when we look at the compound basic beat, it's equal to 1 dotted quarter note. So the question is, in this time signature here, and we have 2 groups, just like we had up here, is there a dot or no dot? Let's see what your answers are. Dot or no dot? The answer is dot, right? Because our 1 note equal to this group is a dotted quarter note. And therefore, the compound pulse is strong dot, weak dot. So this is simple time, and this is compound time. We have 2 groups, but one has got 2 groups of quarter notes, no dot, and the other one has 2 groups of a dotted quarter note, and so therefore we have to break it down into 3. So what is the time signature? Big reveal, if you can guess. The time signature is 6/8. Hopefully you got that one. All right, let's keep going. How are you doing with the game so far? Excellent. Dot or no dot? All right, let's check out the next one. Big reveal here. Okay, so now we're going to get a little trickier this time. All right, so now we say, all right, how many groups do we have? Well, we have 1 half note, so that one's going to stand alone. But we have a whole rest. Now, normally when we think of a whole rest, we think, well, a whole rest fills a whole measure. And you're right, it does. But there are exceptions to the rule. And one of those exceptions are when we have a whole rest in a measure, plus we have a half note in the same measure, then that whole rest does not fill the whole measure. In fact, it equals 1, 2 half notes, because the third half note is here. So how many scoops do we have? 1, 2, 3. The basic beat is half note, half note, half note. And the pulse is strong, weak, weak. Now the reason that we have a whole rest here is because a strong pulse can pick up a weak pulse. So we combine these two into one whole rest. Does that make sense? Okay, so we're joining them. We're not going to put in 2 half rests. We're putting in 1 whole rest because it's strong plus weak. You can pick them up. So now the question is dot or no dot? Let me see your answers, please. Dot or no dot? Well, right now we see that we have no dot, so that's going to tell us we are in simple time. So let's have the big reveal. We have 1, 2, 3 half notes. So our time signature is 3/2 time. So let's make it a little more complicated. Inside the Basic Rudiments workbook, you are learning about simple time. All right, so the top number can be 2, 3, or 4. And the bottom number can be 2, 4, 8, or 16. When you're moving into the Intermediate Rudiments workbook, now we're learning about compound time. And in compound time, the top number can be 6, 9, or 12 because we're always going to go times 3. So let's take a look inside this one. Ready? So let's take a look at our rhythm. Let me pull this down here for you. Okay. Let's have some fun here. I don't see you're answering my questions. Dot. Oh, there we go. I needed to go down. Thank you, guys. Hey, Barb. And dot. Okay, I just had to scooch it down here. Okay, great. Okay. Now, thank you for playing. You know, you got to think, you got to have fun, right? As a music educator, I'm passionate about teaching and sharing my knowledge in music theory, and also I'm a piano teacher. But I think the key is that you got to have fun when you're learning. And if you're not willing to play the game, then probably your students won't be willing to play the game either. So let's have some fun and play the game. All right, so now we're on the next one. You guys are doing good. I really like this. This is a good thing. So in the next one, and of course we're getting a little more complicated, how many groups do you see? We see 1, we see 2, and we see 3 groups. All right, so the scoop is 3 groups. So what are our choices for the top number? The top number can be 3, or the top number can be 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, so we have some choices here. We don't know which one it is. It's going to be 3 or it's going to be 9. We're not sure. Same with this one. We had 2 or it was going to be 6. 2, right, times 3 is 6. So now, if we look at this one, we have 1, 2, 3 groups. Okay, so far so good. Our basic beat is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got 9 quarter notes. But here's the big thing. We can only have 1 note equal to this scoop. 1 note. So the question for you is, dot or no dot? Does this one group equal a dotted note or no dot? Let's see what you're coming up with here. Ooh, woo, woo. Let's see what you're coming up with. Dot or no dot? Now that I've figured out how to do this, I can actually see you guys out there. It's fun. All right, dot. I see some of you are saying dot. Okay, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. Thank you, Patricia. Or she's saying doi, but I'm sure she meant dot. So if you're watching the replay, yeah, there you go, Patricia. If you're watching the replay, go ahead and put your answers in here because I've got some great stuff coming up your way right now. We actually just were in a coaching call with our Ultimate Music Theory Elite educators and also all of our Ultimate Music Theory teachers inside of our UMT group. If you're not familiar with it yet, make sure you go to teachumt.com and you can get all the information about joining the Ultimate Music Theory Teachers membership. You can actually start your free trial, or actually, sorry, your 14-day trial for only $1. So it's just $1. Check it out. You can actually watch the replay from the coaching call that we did. You will learn so many teaching tips. It was an amazing coaching call this morning. I'm so grateful for all of our Ultimate Music Theory teachers and educators that are sharing their knowledge and all the little tips and tricks. I always learn something new. So jump into the membership, watch the replay of the coaching call today, and I'm sure you're going to walk away with a wealth of information in how you can teach. All right, so dot. Okay, is the dotted half note considered the same kind of dot? The answer, Kathy, is yes. A dotted note is a dotted note. And the question is simply, does the one note equal to the scoop have a dot or no dot? Here, the one note equal to the group had no dot, so it's simple time. Here, the one note equal to the group had a dot, so that makes it compound time. All right, so now the big reveal. You guys said dot, and you're right. So we have 1, 2, 3 groups, and each group is equal to a dotted note. So now what we have to do is say, we know that's compound. I don't know what the bottom number is, but I know that the top number has to be 9. How do I know that? Because there's 3 groups, and the one note equal to each group has a dot. That means that 3 times 3 is 9, so the top number has to be 9. And then I have to figure out what's the bottom number. And here I see that the bottom number has to be 4 because the basic beat is a quarter note. So play the game with your student, dot or no dot. Great, Kathy says, got it, thumbs up. Let's do one more. Ooh, it's getting harder. All right, let's have the big reveal. So this one's a little tricky and it can go a couple of ways. So for those of you that are already typing in your answers going, I know it, I know it, I know it. Yes, that's right, Kathy, 9/4 time. Perfect. So now when we're looking at this one, we have an 8th note, then we have an 8th rest, then we have a quarter rest. So if I was, and you can see I've already put in my scoops here. So for some of you might say, well, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second. Couldn't that be 2 scoops? Couldn't you have the 8th note and the 8th rest in one scoop and the other quarter rest in one scoop? And the answer is yes. And this is the tricky part. When you're first analyzing rhythm and you're adding the time signature, sometimes you need to look at more than one measure. So if you don't know what the time signature is simply by looking at one measure, then it's kind of a good thing to maybe look at another measure, and that's where you're going to see the groups. because ultimately a scoop represents a group. Okay, so every group is equal to one note, and that's a scoop. So now I've decided that this is going to be 4. Just got to go with me here. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4 scoops. All right, we got 4. So now the question is dot or no dot. We want to know, is this simple time or is it compound time? So when we're looking at our 4 groups, we see that there is dot or no dot. My question for you. Woohoo! Dot or no dot? Well, right here we see 1 8th note, another 8th note, another 8th note, and another 8th note. So go ahead and share with me. Dot or no dot? That's the question. Simple question. Now, before we reveal dot or no dot, go ahead and type your answers in there for me. Here's the other question, is that I see that it says strong, weak, medium, weak. That's the pulse. So when we're looking at this measure here, we see that we have a medium plus a weak. And a medium can pick up a weak and be combined into one rest, which is why we don't have 8th note and then 8th rest and then another 8th rest and then another 8th rest, right? Because the medium can pick up a weak. So we have strong, weak, medium, weak. So we can pick them up. And the answer for this one is no dot. Correct answer, Patricia. Ding, ding, ding. And so therefore, I'm going to do the big reveal and see if I can do it right. Excellent. So now we have 4 and there's no dot. So we know it's got to be simple. It's got to be 4. It can't be 12. And the bottom number is 8 because we have 8th notes. All right, let's do the last one. So the last one, and right now we're in the Intermediate Rudiments workbook. I'll stick my little puppy up there so he's out of the way. And now this one is getting a little bit trickier. Hopefully you can see, I know it's a little bit smaller there, but hopefully you can see it okay. Zoom in, as they say, zoom, zoom, zoom in. I'll do the little big reveal here, zoom, zoom. You can see my little study board behind me. I'm working on some stuff back there. All right, so let's do the big reveal. We have got how many scoops here? Now this is going to be a little trickier. I see 1, 2, 3, 4 scoops. Now when you first look at this example, you might quickly say, I see 3 scoops. I see a dotted 8th note, and then I see a group of 3, and then I see a single note. I see 3 groups. And sometimes students will say that. They just say, oh, I see 3. And you're right, there's kind of 3. However, when we actually break it down, remember, they all have to be equal groups. Oh, equal groups, that changes the game. Because this quarter rest, dotted quarter rest, is not equal in value to this group of 3 16th notes or the group of 1 8th notes. So this quarter rest, dotted quarter rest, is equal to 2 dotted 8th notes. 1 dotted 8th note, 1 dotted 8th note. So what we can do now is say we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 groups, dot or no dot. That's my question. Dot or no dot? Let's see. Oh, Kathy's already guessing. Oh, not quite Kathy, but good guess. She's already correcting herself. Okay, so when we have 4 groups, we need to say 4. So the top number is going to be 4 or it's going to be 12. How do we know? How do we know? The answer is dot or no dot. If there is no dot, then the bottom number, right, has to be a single note with no dot, then the top number is 4. If the group is equal to a dotted note, then 3 times 4 is 12, then the answer has to be 12 something. Okay, so now we're going to reveal. All right, dot or no dot? So the answer is dot. It's an 8th note dot, an 8th note dot, an 8th note dot, and an 8th note dot. Each group is equal to 3 16th notes, which equals 1 dotted 8th note. Now I'm like, oh, wait a second. A dotted 8th note must be compound time. If there is a dot on that group, remember each group is equal to 1 note. And if you see a dot, it has to be compound time. It cannot be simple time if the group is equal to a dotted note. So no dot is simple time. A dot is compound time. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 dotted eighth notes. So that means the top number must be 3 times 4, which is 12. So we know the top number is going to be 12. And now that we know the top number is 12, we go to our basic beat and say we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 16th notes. Yay! We figured it out. So the question is dot or no dot. And the easy way to do that is simply to scoop the beat, get the scoop, right? This is exclusive to the Ultimate Music Theory system. It's why students are so successful in understanding rhythm. Work through the program, jump into the Ultimate Music Theory Teachers membership, go to teachumt.com. You've got 14 days to try it out for just $1. Oh my goodness, it's an amazing opportunity. Make sure to watch the coaching call inside the membership. It also includes coaching calls, so you can get the scoop on everything that we learned today in our coaching call. And I look forward to seeing you next Thursday in our Facebook Live lesson when we talk about the Ultimate Music Theory system. So get the scoop, have fun, teach with passion, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me. Go to teachumt.com and I'll see you on the inside. Bye.